Ladies and gentlemen, sons and daughters of the kingdom, I want you to pause for a moment and listen. This is not just another sermon, this is a divine alert, a wake-up call, a prophetic reminder to every person who has ever felt like they don't belong, like they're walking through fire, or like they're being ignored by others. Hear me clearly, you are not forgotten. You are chosen. Being chosen is one of the most misunderstood truths in the kingdom of God. Too often, when people hear the word chosen, they picture special treatment, public stages, and a life filled with comfort and applause. They imagine being lifted in status, surrounded by blessings and walking through doors that open easily. But that idea is a misunderstanding. It's a worldly view wrapped in religious language. In God's kingdom, being chosen doesn't mean you're better than others. It means you've been set apart for something bigger than yourself. God doesn't choose people for fame, He chooses them for purpose. Heaven doesn't choose for decoration, but for decoravine action. When God picks someone, He's choosing a vessel He wants to use, not a statue to admire, but a tool to be sent out. Being chosen means you've been selected to carry a burden, to fulfill a mission, to step forward where others hesitate or fall back. It's not a trophy hanging around your neck, it's a mantle resting on your shoulders. It calls for obedience, deep humility, and total surrender. When God places His hand on you, your life is no longer your own. You become a servant of His will, not someone chasing applause from people. This is where many struggle. We want God to use us, but we don't want to give up our comfort. We want to be seen as anointed, but not shaped in silence. We want the crown, but not the cross. But anyone who has ever truly been chosen by God will tell you there is weight in the calling. There is pressure, there is pain, and there is process. Heaven does not choose lightly, and the chosen do not walk an easy road. In fact, the true sign of being chosen often includes hardship, rejection, loneliness, and deep testing, not because God is harsh, but because the calling is valuable. God does not give holy tasks to unready vessels. Look at the scriptures and you'll see a pattern. Everyone God called had to be broken first before they could be effective. Moses was chosen but spent 40 years in the wilderness before stepping into his purpose. Joseph was chosen, but he was betrayed, sold, enslaved, and imprisoned before he reached the palace. David was chosen, but had to run, hide, and live in exile before he ever wore a crown. Even Jesus, the very Son of God, was chosen to redeem humanity, but he had to face the cross and its shame before being lifted high. That is not random. It is divine preparation. Why does God allow His chosen ones to go through such deep shaping? Because calling without character can be dangerous. Power without process leads to destruction. When God chooses someone, He doesn't just assign them a task, He shapes them into someone who can handle that task with faithfulness. Being chosen will reveal your weaknesses, confront your pride, and crush your ego, not to ruin you, but to rebuild you into a vessel that carries the glory of the one who called you. Few of us fully understand how sacred it is to be chosen. It is not something to take lightly. When God sets someone apart, He marks them. That means your life is no longer for casual use. You can't live like everyone else. You can't toy with compromise. You can't take matters into your own hands. The chosen are not identified by popularity, but by purity, not by wealth, but by responsibility. The weight of being chosen is heavy because you now represent something greater than yourself. Your life becomes a message. Your actions become a sermon. Your obedience becomes a sign for others to watch. This responsibility is not only about what you do, it's about who you are becoming. God is not only concerned with your output, He's focused on the kind of person you are turning into along the way. Are you faithful when no one notices? Are you obedient when no one cheers? Are you steady when no one supports you? The chosen must live with a deep inner understanding that they carry something holy, and their yes to God must echo across every part of their life. So many people want to be chosen for influence, but not for prayer. They want visibility, but not virtue. They desire leadership, but not lordship, where Christ truly directs every decision. But the chosen are not actors, they are carriers. Carriers of burdens, carriers of truth, carriers of glory. And carrying something that matters always comes with a price. One of the most freeing truths a chosen person can accept is this: you don't need people's approval to be used by God. When God picks someone for his purpose, he does not hold a vote, form a committee, or seek public opinion. Heaven's plan is not shaped by popular approval. God's call is not controlled by human agreement. In fact, often when God chooses someone, that choice is unnoticed, misunderstood, or even rejected by those nearby. But that doesn't cancel the calling. It doesn't reduce the anointing. God's decision stands firm. It is final. It cannot be undone. Think about all the people in the Bible who were chosen by God but dismissed by others. David wasn't even considered by his own father when Samuel came to anoint a king. He was out in the fields tending sheep, forgotten, overlooked, invisible. But God said to Samuel, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." In other words, while people check for skills, God checks for surrender. While others search for credentials, God searches hearts. The world may skip over you, but if God has chosen you, you've already been seen, appointed, and set apart even if no one else knows it yet. This truth is both humbling and empowering. It's humbling because it shows that our calling is not something we earn, it's given by grace. And it's empowering because it removes the pressure to win everyone's approval. If God has called you, you don't have to explain your purpose to those who don't understand it. Your calling doesn't depend on your popularity, your followers, or fitting into people's expectations. God's hand on your life is not up for debate. That's why rejection often comes right before a move of God. When people can't see what God sees in you, they will doubt you, criticize you, or even fight against you. But their rejection is not proof of your lack of worth, it just shows the limits of their vision. If you're waiting for everyone to agree with your calling before you act, you'll stay stuck. The truth is, the chosen often walk alone before they ever lead anyone. They pass through seasons of silence, misunderstanding, and invisibility. But that's not proof that they missed God, it's actually evidence they are right where they should be. God's way has always been to choose the unlikely. He picked fishermen to be apostles. He picked a man who stuttered to speak to Pharaoh. He chose a teenage girl to carry the Messiah. Why? Because he wants to upset human expectations. He wants the glory to remain with him. He often picks the one everyone else skips so that when the calling comes to life, it's clear that it was his work, not a man-made promotion. God's fingerprints shine brightest when human fingerprints are missing. This is why God doesn't ask people's opinions when he chooses someone. People are too stuck in past labels and current limits. They remember who you used to be. They focus on what you are now. But God sees who you're becoming. That's why he doesn't need their agreement to move you forward. He doesn't require your history to match your promise. He just needs your yes. And once you say yes, no amount of public disapproval can block what he plans to do. Many chosen ones struggle because they try to balance both their calling and people's expectations. But you were never meant to carry both. You can carry the mantle or the opinions, but not both. Your mission is to obey God, not to be understood by everyone. And sometimes your obedience will look like rebellion to those who don't know your assignment. Those two people, rarely in agreement, may try to fit you into their small views, but your calling is much greater than their labels. You were not chosen to be understood by everyone. You were chosen to follow God. And following God often upsets the comfort of others. That's part of the price. If you are truly set apart, you must get used to being misunderstood. You must be ready to move forward without being clapped for, and to stand strong without anyone agreeing with you. Because your strength doesn't come from the crowd, it comes from the throne. Don't lose heart if the door you thought people would open stays closed. Don't be upset if the help you expected never shows up. If heaven has called you, then what you carry will open doors for you, even when others push back. You don't need a stage to matter. You don't need a spotlight to make a difference. When God's hand is on you, what's inside you will begin to flow out of you whether people notice or not. One of the hardest but most important lessons for every chosen person is that purpose always comes after preparation. You cannot walk in your purpose without going through the shaping process. There is no crown without first carrying a cross. There is no rising without digging deep. No glory without going through struggle. If you are facing the fire, it's not because God left you, it's because He's preparing you. The chosen ones don't skip the fire. They are made stronger by it. That fire is not your enemy. It's proof that something powerful is inside you. Fire is more than just a challenge, it's a tool for growth. It removes what can't stay. It takes away every crutch until all you have left is God. And when you come through it, you won't be the same. You'll come out clean, sharp, and ready. That's why you can't compare your path to someone else's. Some people avoid fire because they were never built for it. But you were made for this. You were designed to not just survive the heat, but to come out of it stronger. The depth of your preparation usually matches the size of your purpose. The tougher the process, the greater the calling. Joseph had a dream of leadership. But before he could wear the robe of authority, he was stripped of everything, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and locked in prison. Why? Because his dream wasn't just about him, it was about saving nations. God was building a man who could handle political power and still walk with spiritual truth. The process wasn't punishment, it was shaping. This is where many get it wrong. We ask God for big purpose but refuse the shaping process. We want the crown but reject the training. But if you are truly chosen, you must be shaped by the fire of hard times, tested in the long seasons of waiting, and humbled in the quiet places of being alone. These times are not wasted. They are working for your good. They are building capacity, shaping your heart, and giving you endurance. The very things you're asking God to take away might be the very tools He's using to show you who you really are. Your pain, your waiting, your struggles, they are all part of God's detailed plan. Nothing is random in the life of someone who is chosen. Every shut door, every heartbreak, every delay is planned to build something inside you that comfort never could. Because purpose without the process is risky. If you step into your calling without being ready, you'll damage it. If you carry power without self-control, it will crush you. God loves you too much to give you promotion before you're ready. That's why the fire is necessary. Let this truth settle deep in your heart. If you weren't chosen, the fire wouldn't come this hot. Hell doesn't chase what's empty. The enemy only pushes harder when he sees you as a real danger. So if you feel pressure, it's because something powerful is forming in you. If you feel surrounded, it's because what's inside you is about to affect everything around you. The process doesn't mean God has forgotten you. It means He's preparing you for something big. But here's the key: you must stick with it. Not just get through it, but embrace it. Trust that God is not wasting your pain. He is creating something that will last. The breaking is producing oil. The delay is making you deep. The wilderness is training your eyes to see clearly. Every season when no one sees you is building a foundation that can handle the time when everyone does. You're not being buried, you're being planted. And what God plants, He plans to grow, but only when it's the right time. So don't run from the shaping process. Don't try to avoid it. Don't hate it. Let it shape you. Let it teach you. Let it remove anything that's not rooted in God. Because the fire doesn't just show your strength, it shows where your strength comes from. It makes you dig deeper, surrender fully, and trust completely even when nothing makes sense. That's what this journey is really about. Not making you popular, but making you strong in faith. Not making you flashy, but making you unshakable. The world sees the final version, but God focuses on your foundation, and that foundation is built in the fire. Many people want attention, approval, and the spotlight before they've done the work. There's a common lie that your destiny comes first, and then you prepare. But it's the other way around. God always sets the work before the announcement. Before the world can see your rise, before your name is known, there is a time of quiet testing and deep growth. God wants to make sure that when He reveals your purpose, you're ready to carry it with humility, strength, and faith. It's easy to look at those who seem successful and wish for what they have: the fame, the influence, the success. But what you don't see is the silent journey that got them there. The long nights of practice, the quiet obedience, the private fights when no one else was around. God is never in a rush to put you on display if the spotlight will show your flaws. He wants to shape your heart, adjust your attitude, and grow your faith before He gives you the crown. Think about the stories from the Bible. Before David became king, he was a young shepherd in the fields. He didn't chase the throne. He waited for God's time, proving his loyalty and patience. Before Esther became queen, she spent time behind the scenes learning how to act with wisdom and courage. God used that quiet season to prepare her for a powerful moment. Before Jesus started his ministry, he spent 40 days in the wilderness, fasting and praying. That was a time of deep testing, not to harm him, but to make sure he was ready. God isn't just looking at what you can do. He's looking at who you are becoming. Announcing your purpose is not the goal. Finishing your assignment faithfully is. The difference between those who succeed and those who fall isn't usually talent, it's how they handled the quiet seasons. When you rush to be seen without being ready, you risk failure and even pain. But when God tests your heart first, He makes sure you'll honor Him with the calling He gives you. He wants your success to last. He wants your influence to reflect Him. The spotlight isn't about showing off, it's about managing what He gave you. And managing it well requires growth. It requires being trusted with small things before handling big ones. It requires humility, patience, and trust in God's plan. Many times when you're frustrated by waiting, it's because God is doing deep work in you. It's not a delay, it's a time for you to grow. Instead of trying to force things, use this time to walk closer with God, to get better in your gifts, and to prepare yourself in private. That's what makes all the difference. Prove your reliability. God always honors faithfulness during the process. When you're faithful in the task you've been given, the announcement will come at the right time. Keep in mind that an announcement without a purpose is empty, but a purpose that comes before the announcement is powerful. It guarantees that when God brings you into the open, He reveals someone who is prepared, tested, and ready to walk into the destiny that has been assigned to them. So instead of running after recognition, focus on the work that God has placed in front of you right now. Complete your task with excellence and honesty, and trust that your moment will come when you're truly ready and when God's plan for your life can no longer be hidden. Feeling isolated, distant, or cut off from others is one of the hardest things that the chosen often go through. But you must understand this: being alone is not a punishment or a sign that God has left you. In fact, it is one of the clearest signs that God has specially selected you. When God is shaping someone for something great, He often separates them from what's familiar, from the crowd, and from the distractions of the world, not to hurt them, but to get them ready. Being alone becomes a sacred place, a space where transformation takes place, where you can hear God's voice more clearly, and where your character can be shaped without interference. Many people misunderstand the quiet seasons in their walk with God. They may think it means they've failed or been rejected, but really, it's part of God's design. The chosen are often set apart early on, because God needs to clean out their hearts, purify their motives, and sharpen their vision. In isolation, you are not weighed down by outside distractions that could throw you off your course. It's like being in the hands of a master craftsman. He removes everything that is not needed so that what remains is strong and ready. This kind of separation is rarely easy. It can be uncomfortable and even painful, because it removes you from the places and people that once made you feel secure. But that pain is part of the growth. It teaches you to depend fully on God. It helps you develop a deep connection with Him that can't be built in a crowd. It makes you think about your purpose, ask questions, and build endurance and trust. These wilderness seasons where it feels like no one sees or hears you are the places where God teaches His chosen how to recognize His voice above everything else. Look at the lives of great leaders and prophets from the past. Many of them went through times of being alone before they stepped into the fullness of their calling. Moses spent 40 years in the desert, away from his people and Egypt. Elijah ran to the wilderness to seek God's guidance. Even Jesus stepped into the wilderness alone for 40 days before beginning his public work. These weren't times of punishment, they were times set aside by God to prepare them, make them stronger, and give them clarity. Isolation also protects you from being exposed too early. Sometimes the world isn't yet ready for what God is building in you. Sometimes the place you're in can't yet handle the changes that God is planning to make through you. Being alone shields the work God is doing in you. It keeps your growth safe until the right time. It protects you from being distracted, discouraged, or pulled away from your purpose. When God finally says, "Now you're ready," everything that needed to be done in private will support what is revealed in public. So if you're feeling alone, discouraged, or disconnected, don't give up. Don't think God has abandoned you. Instead, understand that this is a sign that He is preparing you for something bigger than what you can see right now. He is doing something in your life that requires quiet, focus, and stillness. Use this time wisely. Pray with greater depth. Listen more carefully. Grow stronger in your faith. This period of isolation is not your punishment, it's your training ground. And when God brings you out, you won't just be someone who survived, you'll be a vessel full of strength and ready to walk into the calling made only for you. Being chosen by God is not just about being blessed or favored. It means becoming a clear example of His kingdom on earth. When God picks someone, He's not just handing out titles or rewards, He's giving a serious responsibility. That responsibility is to carry and show the nature of heaven in your daily life. Being chosen means your life must look like the kingdom, not just sound like it. The way you live becomes a reflection of who God is and what matters most in His kingdom. The values of the kingdom are very different from those of the world. God's ways are marked by humility rather than pride, by service rather than showing off, by love instead of division, and by staying committed instead of giving up when it's hard. The chosen are called to live out these values in everything they do, whether people are watching or not. God doesn't choose people just so they can enjoy good things. He chooses them to be channels of His blessings. You're not just meant to receive, you're also meant to carry and deliver His power and presence to others. If you're truly chosen, your life will show it in ways that people can't ignore. It will be seen in your actions, your choices, your words, and your attitudes. It's not about being flawless, it's about being set apart. You are meant to live by the principles of the kingdom because you carry the backing of heaven. The way you live should shape your influence and leave an impact wherever you go. Living as someone who carries the kingdom means that your goals are bigger than your own success. You're called to bring healing, restore broken places, and show people God's love in real and practical ways. You're meant to be a light in dark places, a voice of truth, and a visible example of God's justice and mercy. Wherever you go, you should carry a piece of heaven with you. People should be drawn not just to your words, but to the way your life reflects something greater. And because you represent the kingdom, you'll often find that you don't fit in with the world's values. The kingdom doesn't follow the world, it changes it. That means you may face rejection, be misunderstood, or even suffer for standing firm. But the chosen don't let rejection stop them, because their worth doesn't come from people, it comes from God. Holding on to kingdom values takes courage. It requires you to stand firm even when it costs you something. God's kingdom is unshakable and everlasting. As someone chosen by Him, you're a part of that eternal plan. You've been given a task that is much bigger than yourself. It's not about talent or ambition, it's about having a heart that lines up with God's, living by His standards, and surrendering each day to His direction. When you carry the culture of the kingdom, you become an agent of change, a light in the darkness, and a powerful instrument of God's influence wherever you go. So hear this deeply in your spirit. Being chosen by God is not some random moment or a simple compliment. It is a direct appointment with your destiny. You are handpicked not to live an ordinary life, but to carry a heavenly mission that only you can complete. The path may be lonely, the challenges may be tough, and you may not always hear applause. But don't forget, God's approval matters more than any crowd's noise. Walk in your purpose boldly. Embrace the journey even when it hurts, because that pain proves that your purpose is real and full of meaning. Stand strong even when people don't understand you, because your value is set by the one who called you. And most of all, carry the spirit of the kingdom everywhere you go. Let your life reflect God's heart so clearly that others can't help but see Him in you. You are God's chosen one. This is your time to rise, to shine, and to step into the purpose that was written for you before time began. Don't wait. Don't question. Don't look down on the path that got you here. Step into your calling with courage, with focus, and with power. The world is waiting for the light you carry. So go forward, chosen one, and make a lasting difference that echoes for eternity.